So today we are going to read about cardiac activity of frog, means the activity of the frog heart. So why are we studying this experiment? What are the objectives? By this we will learn about the properties of the cardiac muscle, which are automaticity, rhythmicity, then contractility, conductivity, extrasystole and compensatory pause, all or none law, refractory period, staircase effect. For studying these properties, we are doing this experiment today. So, can anyone tell me what is the basic difference between frog heart and the heart of humans? What is the difference? They are? Okay, someone of you stand up and tell what is the main difference. Means chambers, there are 3 chambers, na? But what is the basic difference between the chambers? Means what type of chambers are there? Which chamber is missing or which is present? Yeah, tell me. No, about cardiac chambers. What is the difference, basic difference? Yeah, one ventricle is missing, not whole ventricles are missing. There are 2 ventricles in the human heart, but there is only 1 ventricle in the frog heart. So that is the difference. Anatomy of the frog heart. This one is the right atrium, this one is the left atrium, this one is the only ventricle. Then there is another detailed picture of the heart. So you can see everything is mentioned here. And this thing is the sinus venosus, which is containing the SA node. Normally the SA node of our heart is present in the right atrium, but in frog's heart it is present in the sinus venosus. यहाँ पर होता है. The SA node is present in this part. What is the SA node responsible for? What is its function? So everything else can do electrical conduction. Na? AV node is also there. Then Purkinje fibers are also there. SA node starts the electrical conduction. It is the first part which starts the conduction in the heart. So the SA node is present in the sinus venosus. So here it is highlighted the location of the sinus venosus. So first, how we are going to do the experiment? Though we are not doing this currently, but how we used to do, it is shown here. We will take a frog, we will put it in the table like this. Then you may remember that in your earlier experiments in the frog leg muscle, which you were doing with the sciatic nerve, in that we used to destroy both the spinal cord and the brain of the frog. Na? We used to do pithing, that we used a rod, we used to enter the rod into the frog's spinal cord and to the brain. We destroyed both. But in this case, we will destroy only the spinal cord and the brain will be remaining intact, because we will be seeing the effect of vagus nerve. So for keeping the vagus nerve, function of the vagus nerve intact, because the vagus nerve is coming out from the brain. That's why we are keeping the brain intact, and we are just paralyzing the frog by destroying the spinal cord. So after destroying the spinal cord, we will turn over the frog. We will keep the frog in this position so that the heart faces us. The frog would be lying down and the heart would be facing towards us. So we will first expose the heart. We will cut the different skin layers. We will remove the bones, and then we will expose the heart. After that, we also have to cut out the pericardium. What is the pericardium? And can anyone tell me? Explain in such a situation, that such a way that I can understand, I can listen. Okay, it is the outer layer of the heart. So we are slicing it out so that we can reach the heart, and we can try different type of drugs so that it can reach the heart and it can show its effect. So we are exposing the heart. After exposing the heart, we will keep the heart in this direction. Means the heart will be, the apex of the heart will be facing upwards. You can shortly see why we are doing this. And we will, at the base of the heart, which is joined to the body, we will pin it. We will use some screws or some pins like this, and we will pin the base, pin the apex of the base of the heart, so that there is no other movement. the movement is only in this part and there is no other movement in this part. So we are pinning it. We will use a hook like this and we will pierce the outer part of the apex, and we will make sure that we do not damage the ventricles. We do not pierce the inside of the ventricle. Just on the superficial layer only we will pierce. This is the setup. Earlier what we used to do, this would be some bit different. Now the heart would be placed in this part and the thread would be tied to this part, so that if there is a movement, the movement would be vertical. This would move like this. This fulcrum would move like this. The heart would be here. And this stylus will again produce the same effect. It will move. It will draw the different movements of the heart on the myograph. Basically everything is same. Just in other experiments we used to put the frog in this part, but now we will be putting the frog in this part. So you can see in this diagram that the heart is pinned here and we are connecting a thread here. So if the heart is producing any movement, this thing will move and there will be an image produced. Images or whatever you say, that lines will be produced. This is the myograph. Again, it is the same. This is the same thing. In this myograph, we have to notice one thing, that from our other experiments, from the previous experiments, we will be rotating this drum at a slower speed. Because if we move it at a faster speed, then we cannot trace the minute movements. If the movements are a little bit slower, then only we can trace the minute movements of the heart. So this is the complete setup. This would be different, little bit different actually. Here in other experiments, the frog would be placed here, but in this experiment, the frog would be below, somewhere in this place. This is the cardiogram. There is only movement of the heart. Then the movement will produce this type of images. This is the cardiogram. So in this case, we are recording at a slow speed. When we are recording a slow speed, we can see that there is some sinus activity. Sinus, I have already told you that SA node, which is present in the sinus venosus, that part will produce one activity. Then there will be atrial activity and there will be ventricular activity. You can see that the ventricle produces the most activity. That's why the graph is tall. And simultaneously you can see that the more the muscle or the part of the heart that is producing the activity, the higher the graph is there. So again, this one is highlighted. This one is the ventricular activity, atrial activity, and activity of sinus venosus. Now we have seen what the normal cardiogram is like. At normal temperatures, can anyone tell me what is the normal heart rate of a frog in normal conditions? No, it's actually 60 to 100. For frog, what is the normal rate? It is around 25. The frog heart rate is very slow in comparison to humans. It is around 25 beats per minute. So there is a graph which will be showing the effect of heat and cold. Means we are doing the experiment the same way. We are putting the frog in a Ringer's lactate solution, and the same things we are doing. And you do not require to learn this thing, sinus venosus. Only on the effect of the ventricle you need to learn. Just concentrate on this part. So you can see that when there is an increase in the heat, so similarly like any other muscle, the cardiac muscle also responds. There is decrease in viscosity, and you remember whatever the factors are there, the same things will be applying here. Except from that, there will be no latent period, because in latent period we used to give a stimulus by ourselves, but here the heart is producing the stimulus by itself. So there is no delay. So there is no latent period. So you can see when we are applying a warm Ringer's lactate solution, then the activity of the heart is increasing. Similarly, when we are pouring any cold Ringer's solution, then the activity of the heart is reducing. It is the theory is the same for others, for the previous experiments. So here is an image which is portraying the effect of different type of atrial systole, then atrial diastole, then what happens in normal temperature, what happens in warm temperature. Then in cold temperature you can see there is some spacing, means the heart rate is also decreasing and the force of the contraction is also decreasing, and vice versa. In hot it is increasing the force of contraction and the how fast it is or how slow it is. These things are like this. You can understand now from this picture what is happening. So now we will be seeing the effect of some drugs on the heart rate. So first one is the normal heart rate at normal room temperature, at normal ring electric solution. Now what we are doing, we are adding adrenaline. You have heard the name, na? Adrenaline, the name of the drug or name of the hormone which is present in our body. Yeah, that adrenaline we are infusing in the frog's heart. We are infusing it in the ring electric solution. So what that adrenaline will do, it will produce a positive inotropic effect and a positive chronotropic effect. What it means, it will increase the force of contraction of the heart. The heart will contract like this, it will be violent, it will produce more vigorous contractions, and the rate of the contraction will also be increased. Means the force of the contraction and the rate of the contraction will be increased. Now we will drain the solution and we will again bring it in normal. And in normal you can see that again the heart rate becomes normal and the force of the heart contractions also become normal. Then we will be adding acetylcholine. Now acetylcholine will do the reverse of adrenaline. Like in adrenaline, by adrenaline there will be a positive increase in the force of the heart, in the rate of contraction of the heart. Similarly in acetylcholine, these things will decrease. There will be decrease in the force of contraction of the heart. Like you can see, there are tall waves, means the heart is beating with much force. Now the waves are little bit shorter, not little bit, they are much shorter, and there is also some spacing in between. Means the heart rate is also decreased and the contraction force is also decreased. Then again we are showing this is normal, this is adrenaline, it is increasing. In acetylcholine it is decreasing, then again in normal it is becoming, the graph is normal. Then what will happen if you are adding calcium? So calcium, will increase a muscle's contractility initially. So initially when we are supplying calcium into the solution, then the force of contractions and the contractility of the heart, the rate of the heart, those things will increase. But after a certain extent, as we have learned in the previous classes, then when calcium builds up too much in the muscle, then the muscle goes, or the heart muscle goes into a state of fixed contraction. It will become contracted, it cannot relax any further. Then there will be, and similar thing will happen in the heart, and the heart will be in a contracted state. That will be in a state of systole. The heart cannot relax. Then again we are putting potassium in the solution. Now potassium, what it will do? It will hyperpolarize the heart muscle, or the action potential, the potential of the nerves of the heart muscle. So it will hyperpolarize this, and thus it will be difficult to depolarize the membrane potential. So for this, in this case, the heart will stop at diastole. Earlier the heart used to stop at systole, now the heart will stop at diastole. After diastole, the heart will be in a state of contraction, permanent contraction. And when we remove the KCl solution, when we will remove the potassium, then the heart will go back to normal. Now we will be seeing the effect of vagal stimulation. So already we have told you that we are keeping the vagus nerve intact. We are keeping the vagus nerve and the brain intact. And how many vagus nerve are there in our body? vagus nerve कितना होता है बॉडी? एक ही होता है? कितना होता है vagus nerve? How many vagus nerve are there? किसी को पता नहीं है vagus nerve कितना होता है? Anyone knows how many vagus nerve are there in a frog's body, in our body, anything? There are two vagus nerves, two pairs, one coming from the right side, one coming from the left side. So usually the right vagus nerve pierces the heart. In our heart also, since the SA node is on the right atrium, that is pierced by the vagus nerve or by the right vagus nerve. Similarly, in the case of frog also, the right vagus nerve is more important in case of the heart, frogs heart. So what will happen? So this is normal cardiogram. Now we are giving vagal stimulation. Means we will take out the vagus nerve and we will give electrical stimulation of different powers. We will give electrical stimulation. When we will give electrical stimulation, what will happen? As I told you that acetylcholine will decrease the contractility of the heart. So vagus nerve, usually what it does, vagus nerve will release acetylcholine from the nerve endings. So if we are stimulating it vigorously, then acetylcholine will keep on getting released. So this acetylcholine will stop the heart because there is so much of acetylcholine and it will act on the muscarinic receptors of the heart. There are muscarinic receptors on the heart muscle, on the cardiac muscle. There will be muscarinic receptors on the heart muscle. So the vagus nerve will release acetylcholine. They will go and bind with these muscarinic receptors and then they will stop the heart. So now after that, whenever we are continuously giving stimulation, we are not stopping the stimulation, we are continuously giving stimulation to the vagus nerve. But after that, what we can see, there is vagal escape. In spite of giving vagal stimulation, there is some cardiac contractility. The heart is beating in some interval, though it is not that much as of a normal cardiogram, but there is some beating of the heart. Why is this happening? Actually, the vagus nerve only pierces the SA node, not the ventricles directly. So we know that the ventricle, the SA node will control the ventricle, but the ventricle also has its own regulatory mechanism. It will also help in contractility of the heart, but normally what happens actually, the SA node controls everything. But whenever we are giving continuous stimulation, the acetylcholine receptors, the acetylcholine stores get depleted. The acetylcholine is used up. After that, due to using up of the acetylcholine and because there is some action of the ventricles by themselves, because there is no inhibitory effect of the SA node as such, because SA node has lost its function because there is a depletion of acetylcholine. Now the ventricle itself takes over, so it will produce some contractions. So this is known as vagal escape. This thing is due to two reasons, as I have told you, that there is depletion of acetylcholine and there is function of the ventricles by itself. So there will be a vagal escape. After that, when we stop vagal stimulation, then we will stop the stimulation. We will stop passing current to the vagus nerve. Then there will be normal cardiogram. So because there is no acetylcholine now, again the heart will function in its normal way.
Today we will discuss about hemodynamics. It is very important for understanding of your knowledge in cardiovascular physiology, in circulatory system. Here, the circulatory system is having a fluid and it is flowing through vessels. So in physics, the flow through this vessel of fluid is discussed by fluid dynamics. In biological system also, there is a fluid, but this fluid is different from the physical fluid. That fluid is Newtonian fluid and the blood is non-Newtonian fluid. Here in the fluid there are other constituents like blood cells. Not only this, in our system, vascular system, blood vessels are having different diameters, different thickness. But in the physical system, they studied the fluid dynamics using a tube of identical diameter. So here the diameter is not identical. It varies. So here, application, here also the physics of fluid dynamics can be applied in biological system, but there will be some variations because fluid is not Newtonian and the tube is not identical because it is changing throughout its course. It is changing its diameter, its cross-sectional area. Accordingly, the physics concerning the dynamics will be different. Okay. However, in hemodynamics, we'll be discussing there are several laws, principles are the flow of fluids. The resistance is phases while flowing through the blood vessels, the viscosity of blood. So that affect the flow, and this can be studied using different theories, formulas. These are what are these? Laplace law and Bernoulli's principle, Pauli law, Ohm's law. And this hemodynamics relates so many things. Peripheral resistance, blood flow, pressure gradient, energy, vessel diameter, blood velocity, forces, and blood viscosity. So all are concerned with fluid dynamics, and that is hemodynamics. Hemo means blood. Dynamics means power. Okay, means energy. So, while blood is flowing through the blood vessels, it will, several energy will be involving with it. Some may increase the flow, some may decrease the flow, these forces. Some may oppose, some may accelerate. So, we will be discussing them. Before that, some understanding we must have, clear understanding we must have regarding the vessels. So we know there are different kinds of vessels we will be studying. So there is aorta, how the blood, after what is artery and what is vein? Very good. So arteries are those vessels that carry blood from heart to the periphery, and veins are that carry blood from the periphery to heart. Now, the vessels originates from where? Our heart. From ventricle, from where? Right ventricle and left ventricle. So, right ventricle, pulmonary artery, left ventricle, aorta. Now, after origin single aorta, we'll see what is the cross-sectional area of this aorta. Now, when it proceeds towards the different parts of the body, what happens to this? It will be producing several branches. It will be producing smaller arteries, artery, aorta, then smaller artery, then arterioles, then meta-arteriole, then vein, capillary, then venule, then vein, and then superior or inferior vena cava, then it will be ending in right atrium. Okay, so you can see what are these? Aorta. So it is giving off large artery, again small artery. From this numbers of arteriole will be produced. From the arteriole, capillaries will be formed. Now this capillary will be joining together and will form venule. They will, lot of venule will join together, will form vein, and they will vena cava. Okay? So these are the divisions of blood. While it proceeds to the periphery, so it produces several branches. Now you can see see the diameter of aorta. When it is producing a number of large artery, not one, number of large artery, and this large artery, everybody should listen to this, otherwise it will be very difficult for you to get the idea about cardiovascular system. And throughout your practice, throughout the period, every time you will be concerned with you will be dealing with cardiovascular system. So you should have proper understanding. Repeatedly you have to go, not only attending this class, you also have to study this thing very minutely. So you can see from aorta, number of large arteries will be coming out. So it is having a cross-sectional area. Now see, its cross-sectional area will be increasing because this is not the one. Large artery, there will be others. So if you sum all these cross-sectional area of all large arteries, you will find it is the large cross-sectional area has increased. But that is, the summated cross-sectional area is more than the aorta. It has increased. Now again, they will be producing smaller arteries. Now if you get sum of all the small arteries, now what will happen? What will be the total? More than earlier one, and so gradually its total surface area, not surface area, cross-sectional area is gradually increased. Okay, similarly, total here many times, if you add the surface, the cross-sectional area of the arteriole, capillaries, you will find, I will show you, you will find how much it has increased, how much it has gradually increased. Okay, what is the effect? See, when blood is entering into the aorta, the blood is entering there in a phasic manner during systole, and there is a pause, again there is systole, so there is biphasic. Okay, but when you are coming here, when this blood is here, coming here, you won't find any phasic, continuous flow. And it is because of this gradual increase in total surface area, so total cross-sectional area, it has happened. I will explain later. So this is very important. Why it is necessary to, in the capillaries, the velocity should reduce, flow should be laminar. In the arteriole, in the capillary, flow should be reduced and velocity should be reduced and time should be relatively more. If velocity is reduced, time, existence of the blood near the cell will be more, so it will facilitate the exchange process. So that's why this sort of modification is made. You know it very well, you have studied it in anatomy classes, isn't it? Or not it done? Anatomy. So in any vessel, excluding arteriole and capillaries and venule, you will find all the vessels are having three layers. The outermost layer is tunica adventitia and inner one is tunica media and the innermost area is tunica intima. How many components you will find? There are some components in the different layers. What are these components? Think about outer layer. What is the component? Tunica externa. What is there? Tunica adventitia. Same thing. What is there? What is the component of tunica adventitia? This is very important. You must know. Anybody? One is collagen. Another is elastic fibers, elastin. So they are made up of collagen, and both the components are very important. Elastin, it has got elasticity. When it is distended, again it will try to come it. This is also called compliance. I think in respiration, you have studied compliance, lung compliance, surfactant. What is compliance? What is compliance? What does this word stands for? Anybody? Compliance? In simple term, distensibility. Distensibility of the tissues. If you apply pressure, it will be distended. If it is not properly distended, its compliance is less compliant. If I say, do this, if you do it, you are compliant. If you don't know, I will not do. Non-compliant. So if you apply pressure, then it will be distended. And when you will be reducing the pressure, it will be coming down. So this is having compliance. So here, the blood vessel, the outermost layer is having this property. They are compliant. They are having the elastic property. Okay? And this is very essential. Why? I will discuss. And that second layer is made up of smooth muscles. And we know the smooth muscles are of two types. What are these? One type is unitary. And another one is multi-unit. Unitary means, as we have seen in intestine, in GI tract, here all the cells are connected together by gap junctions. In unitary muscles, if you stimulate one, all the cells will be getting the stimulus, they will be contracting. But in case of multi-unit, it is not, all are different. If I want to stimulate it, I have to give stimulus through nerve to this. Then he will contract, but you will not be contracting. Since you are individual. That's why multi-unit. This is one unit, separate unit. They work independently, but they work all together. That's why they work as a whole unit, as syncytium. Okay? So our blood vessels are also having two type of blood vessels. These two types. Okay? One form is arranged circularly, and some muscular, some fibers, smooth muscle fibers in this region spirally. So what will happen when the spiral smooth muscles will be contracting? What will happen when circular muscles will be contracting? Just assume. And these smooth muscles are such that when they will contract, the muscles, when the lumen becomes narrowed, there will be vasoconstriction, not dilatation. There will be vasoconstriction. When these muscles are dilated, so they are under the neural control. Adrenergic nerve, when these are stimulated by the nerve, adrenergic nerve, they will be contracted. And these muscles of the blood vessel, they are always under a sympathetic tone. Under it means they are slightly contracted. Why? Because we will be controlling our blood pressure by controlling the diameter of the blood vessels. When we want to increase the blood pressure, what we have to do? I have to constrict the blood vessels. Who will constrict? The smooth muscles. And why they will be constricting? Through the sympathetic nerve. So always the sympathetic nerve is having some influence. As a result, they are somewhat constricted. Now, if I want to dilate this blood vessel, then this constriction will be done. So it will be dilated. Now blood pressure will be decreased. When diameter will be decreased, more flow, easy flow, less obstruction. So there will be easy flow, means blood pressure will be okay. Will come down to the normal state. So these muscles, some unitary muscles are also there, multi-unit muscles are there. When they are too much stressed, when these muscles are stressed, smooth muscles are stressed, they generate reflex. Means they will be working like a baroreceptors. When there is pressure, the smooth muscles will be stressed. Now this stress will go, this impulse will go to the brain, and brain, why it is stressed? Because it is too much dilated, more flow. So I have to, more blood is going, more pressure is there. So what I have to do? I have to constrict the vessels. Then what will be there? Reflex, this vessel will be constricted. So when there is too much dilatation, then it has to be constricted. Now how to, by producing reflex, through reflex action it will be constricted. Okay, so this sort of activity also these smooth muscles are having. So they are not under parasympathetic control. They are only under sympathetic control. Okay, so by sympathetic stimulation, you can decrease the diameter of the blood vessel by affecting the smooth muscles, by contracting, by stimulating the smooth muscle, or by relaxing the smooth muscles. Okay, and the innermost layer, intima. What is this layer made of? Epithelial cells. What type of epithelial cells? Wherever you will find surface, you will find epithelial cells. There are different kinds of epithelial cells. Okay, so that is the inner surface. So it is also, there should be epithelial cells, and these epithelial cells should be smooth. Surface of the inner surface there should be smooth, because if it is not smooth, our platelets are very sensitive, very touchy. Whenever there is a rough surface, there will be friction. As a result, platelet will be broken down, and it will initiate clotting mechanism. So that's why the inner surface has to be smooth. When the vessels will be producing ultimately the capillaries, what you will find? Only this layer. Other layers will be off. Only this capillary. Now these capillaries are of three types, I will explain. There are three types, and all the types are very important. All the types functionally they are important. And some are having fenestration. Fenestration means in between the cells there will be pores. So that through these pores, the contents of the blood, some other than plasma proteins, other than blood cells, not only RBC, all the blood, no blood cell can come out. But the WBCs can come out through diabetes. They can change their shape. They can pass through a narrow space, narrow fenestra. So through this they can come out. Okay, so some will be having fenestration, some will not be having no fenestration, and some will be having gap. Wherever you will find sinusoids. These sinusoids are what? They are capillaries, but there is gap in between the epithelial cells. As a result, large molecules can come out. Large molecules can come out. So, for example, hormones are secreted from hormonal glands. Now these hormones are steroids, some are protein in nature, they're bigger in molecule, bigger in size. Now how they will come out of the blood? Or how they will enter into the blood? So there should be this sort of gap. So through this gap, so you will find in the hormonal glands, you will find it in the enzyme where the enzymes are secreted, GI tract. You will find in the glands from where these are secreted. If the enzyme has to be secreted, no enzymes are secreted in blood vessels, remember. So they are directly into the lumen. Okay, so this layer is smooth. Not only this layer, these cells can produce so many things, so many local agents, local chemicals. They can impact the diameter of the vessel. For example, 5-way hydroxytryptamine secreted from these cells. Now they can reflexly cause vasoconstriction. Similarly, they can respond to various substances. When there is low oxygen pressure, there is low anemia, there is hypoxia, they can respond. How? They will be producing something that will dilate the blood vessel. When there is deposition of or excess production of hydrogen ion, again they will cause dilatation of the blood vessels. Similarly, some mediators can have effect on these cells, and as a result, they can also modify the action of the smooth muscles. Locally, they can produce either vasoconstriction or vasodilatation. So I am not going in detail. You see the artery, the muscular coat is thicker in artery, and the outermost layer, that is adventitia, it is also thicker in arteries. Okay, not in all part. In some part it is thicker. The arteries are of three types. Elastic arteries, these are only large sized arteries. Muscular arteries, their muscle coat is strong because they are the main part where vasoconstriction, vasodilatation will be made, and they are under the influence of sympathetic nervous system. Okay, and another resistance arteries. These are arterioles. These are arterioles, small size arteries and arterioles. How they produce resistance? Coming. So these are the various components. Windkessel effect. Before I discuss this thing, tell me one thing. What is your idea? Left ventricle contracted, some amount of blood ejected into the aorta. So aorta is having some amount, say 70 ml of blood. In one stroke, it is getting 70 milliliter of blood. Okay, now the aorta is having extra 70 ml blood. So after getting it, ventricle undergo relaxation. Ventricle undergoes relaxation. Now what will happen? Whether this blood will be coming back? No. Why? The valves will be closing. Okay. So now since no blood is coming during diastole into the aorta, whether the blood will be flowing? When blood is entered, now this blood, where it will go? Because this blood will push इस सामने इसके सामने तो है ना और blood, it is having some energy, it will drive. So it is the driving force. The initial part, it got the force from the ventricle. Now after entering the vessel, it will push the remaining blood in the aorta. So gradually there will be flow. Okay. Now what will happen during diastole? No blood is entering. Now whether there will be flow or not, whether the blood in the aorta will be stagnant or not, that is the question. Blood is not entering during diastole into the aorta. Now what will happen? No blood is entering. So whether this blood will be flowing or it will wait till the next bout of blood and is entering, what will happen? So that's why this is very important. But in aorta, you will find blood is whether it is systole or it is the blood is flowing. Now I raise this question. Blood is not entering but even then, why blood is flowing? Why blood is flowing? Now you know, one thing you came to know, during diastole, blood is also blood flowing through the aorta. Okay, but why? That is the question. Why? That is even. You can go already left coronary section at the root. The blood already came out of the ventricle and entered into the aorta. Now you will see during systole blood is flowing, during diastole also flowing. Diastole, during systole flow is more and during diastole flow is less. But it is flowing. Peristalsis.
Arteries.
You can have peristalsis. Okay. Because of Wind-Kessel effect. Because of Wind-Kessel effect. Huh? What is this Wind-Kessel effect? Dekho. The aorta. It is highly elastic, I said. It is highly, a lot of elastic tissue and collagen fibers are there. As a result, they are very distensible. Whenever blood is 70 ml blood is coming, immediately because of their elasticity, they are inflating, accommodating the 70 ml of blood. They have accommodated all the 70 ml of blood. Okay, and by this time, heart has gone to diastole. This valve is closed now. Now what will happen? This will come to the original position. As a result, pressure will be increased, so it will drive. Again, when blood is entering, again it will be accommodating some blood. When it is stopped, then again it will be. This is called Wind-Kessel effect. Wind-Kessel means, it is a German word. Wind-Kessel means elastic reservoir. Elastic reservoir. It will accommodate, but when through its elasticity, again it will expel. So it is because of this Wind-Kessel effect, the flow during diastole is also maintained. Will you remember this? Okay. So it is not that during diastole there is no blood flow. Systole, this is the original diameter of the aorta. When blood has entered, because of elasticity, it dilated, accommodated 70 ml of blood. So here during diastole it has stopped, this valve is closed. Now what happens? This wall is contracting. Now where this blood will go, they cannot enter here. And because of this, also they will also close. And since there is no way, it will move forward. This blood will move forward. Clear? And for this purpose, the aorta, large arteries, wall is designed like that. It is designed like that. Same thing explained. Compliant. Compliance, I said compliance. These are compliant. Applied pressure, standard. Again, because of elasticity, contracted, moved forward. But what happens in case of elderly person, those who are hypertensive? When you will be over 40 years, over 45 years, over 50 years of age, you will be losing this compliance. It will become gradually rigid. It will not be able to accommodate there. You are becoming rigid. As a result, blood pressure will be increased. There will be increase in systolic blood pressure, and decrease in diastolic pressure. As a result, what will happen? The difference between systolic and diastolic pressure, this is called pulse pressure. This pulse pressure will be gradually increasing. In elderly person, this pulse pressure is gradually increased because of this. Muscular arteries. So these are medium-sized arteries with more muscles than elastic fibers. So what is their main purpose? Why these muscles are there? Because we have to increase, decrease the blood pressure, we are there. When we will be contracting by the order of this sympathetic nervous system, we will be contracting, diameter will be reduced, blood pressure will be reduced. When we will be relaxing, diameter will be increased and blood flow will be reduced, or blood flow will be increased, pressure will be reduced. So for that purpose we are there. Capable of greater vasoconstriction and vasodilation to adjust the rate of flow. Okay? Understood this point? Okay. So here walls are relatively thick, innervated by sympathetic nervous system. So always you try to remember this. So one is having, the initial part is having Windkessel effect, and disturbance, loss of elasticity can affect the flow of blood, pressure, it can create hypertension. Okay, and this part, the later part, they are again neural control. They are again, if you are highly tensed, if you are doing exercise, this area will be responding by vasoconstriction, vasodilation, not the other part. This part will be, this part and the later part will be responding here to increase the blood pressure or to decrease the blood pressure or to increase the flow or to decrease the flow. How? By changing the diameter. So these arterioles, the vessels, they are also supplied with adrenergic receptor, beta alpha 1 receptor beta. I think in biochemistry you are studying this, not yet. These smooth muscles wall is extensively innervated by autonomic nervous system. So arteries and arterioles, they are important. They are offering resistance. They will increase the resistance, they can decrease the resistance. By that we can increase the pressure, we can decrease the pressure. Actually, as per routine, I had class on blood pressure. So unless you have the knowledge regarding this, I should not go into blood pressure. It should be systematic. Then you will find it is easy for you, will be very easy for you to understand the mechanism of controlling blood pressure, regulation of blood pressure. See the arteriole. These are endothelium. These cells are endothelium. And they are, see here, the muscles are, smooth muscles are less, only few. They are unitary, multi-unit. All are having their own innervations. And what is this? What is this? precapillary sphincter. After this, there will be several capillaries. All the capillaries, normally all the capillaries are not patent. Means what? All the capillaries are not active. Means blood is not flowing through them. Only a few, suppose there are 50, so only there will be 25 or 30 will be working, through that blood will be, other will be inactive. Other will be inactive. Who is controlling this? This sphincter. This sphincter, it is controlling how many capillaries will be opened when you are exercising. When his need is more, then more this will be stimulated. It will relax and more blood will be entering, because it is actually controlling entry of blood into the capillaries. Less blood entry, less number of capillaries will be. More entry requires more entry of blood, so it will be dilated, so more amount of blood will be entering and they will be passing through all the capillaries. So how many capillaries will remain open, that is controlled by this precapillary sphincter. They are also under the control of the nervous system. Now can you see how many regulating points are there? How the blood pressure can be controlled throughout its path. Different gates are there, operating gates, their mode of actions are different. If it is failed, now here it will be operating. If it, or all may work together. Arterioles. They are originated this arteriole. These are the precapillary, from this capillary will be formed. So meta-arteriole are branch of the arteriole that escape the formation of capillaries. Now it has produced a branch. Now this branch will directly connect to the venule. This way, shunt, AV shunt is made. This is nothing but AV shunt, arteriovenous shunt, without formation of capillary. So arterial blood can directly come to the vein. Sir, then what is the purpose of these shunts? Your skin, there are capillaries. Your skin is having a lot of such capillaries. Shunt, not capillaries, these meta-arterioles, these meta-forming arteriovenous shunt, you are having a lot of shunts, these shunts. In the skin. Why? Can anybody tell? Okay. Switched off the fan. I switched off, closed the doors and switched on some heaters. What will happen? Room temperature will be increasing, isn't it? Then what will happen? You will be unable to dissipate your heat into your immediate environment, because it is already hot. Now this heat will be trying to enter within my body. So my body temperature will increase. Isn't it? My body temperature cannot escape. This may be the situation in hot environment. What do? We feel hot. So either we switch on the AC or fan or open the clothing, open or make our skin surface open. Why? We have various mechanisms in our body. We keep our body temperature constant. By any means temperature is increased, again we bring it down. If body temperature is decreased, we increase to the normal level. So that's why our body temperature remain constant at what is your body temperature? 30? 37 degree. Degree centigrade or Fahrenheit? We said Fahrenheit. That is correct. So we keep our body temperature constant. How? How we do it? There are two mechanisms. One is heat loss mechanism, another is heat gain mechanism. So body temperature is increased. Okay, so I have to increase the heat loss mechanism. Now, how can we increase the heat loss? Body temperature means core temperature has increased. So, firstly, I have to bring this temperature to the surface, to the skin. Means I have to increase the circulation, blood circulation to the skin, and this blood will be bringing heat from the core of my body to the surface. Now from the surface, now very close to the surface, there under the skin, now heat is there. Now heat can come out of my body by some physical processes. What are these physical processes? Shivering. These physical processes are radiation, conduction, convection, evaporation. There will be sweating. Now this sweat will be evaporated. Sweating means there is water. Now this water will be transformed into water, vapor. And for this it will take latent heat from my body. So heat will be lost. Heat will be lost. Some loss will be there through evaporation and conduction, convection. What is conduction? What is radiation? Sun, light. When you go outside, then what is under sunlight, your body temperature will increase. You are getting heat from the sunlight. So how this heat coming from there to this? There is no medium. So on this transmission of heat is made through radiation. You also radiate. If you experience, suppose you are gone to a theater, a lot of people is there, so all are radiating heat. As a result, temperature in the room is increased because of radiation. Another is convection. Convection means cold air coming to your body surface, taking the heat and going up. This sort of heat loss is convection, and another is radiation, convection, conduction. Simply, you are heating a rod, other end it will gradually become heated. Similarly, if you touch someone, she is colder. She is cold. Suppose my hand is very hot. So now if I touch her, from my heat, it will be, since there is less heat, here more heat will be transferring to that. So this is what? This type of heat loss is conduction. So these are the physical processes. So before that, my hypothalamus, it will do two things. Increase the formation of sweat secretion, increase the circulation of blood to the skin, and they will take major part. So their part is to bring heat loss. bringing the core temperature to the surface, to the skin, from where the heat can be evaporated, heat can be lost easily. So that is the main purpose. They act during thermoregulation. Okay, so these are essential also. So capillaries, as I said, there are three types of capillaries. One is continuous capillaries, no gap. Continuous capillaries means all the cells are tight, no gap is there. Then what is the use? How they will come? Because all the cell membranes are having pores. The content of the, so first blood, from blood they will enter into these cells, endothelial cells. Something has to be liberated, say for example hormone. So they will enter into the cell, or say for glucose, it will enter the cell, endothelial cell, and the other surface area, through that other surface area it will be diffused. No gap. So these are continuous, having, only the cells are having pores. Through these pores, exchange takes place between the cell and to the exterior. And the second variety is fenestrated, fenestra, means in between the cells there is a gap. So through this gap, WBCs can pass. The solid substances having very low atomic size, molecular size, they can pass or also can enter. So that's why they are fenestrated. Okay, and where you will get this fenestrated? Kidney, small intestine, endocrine glands. And where you will get those initial one? Muscles and lungs. And you will find the other one, sinusoids. Liver is the example, good example. Liver sinusoids. Also in bone marrow, where RBC is synthesized, blood cells are synthesized, there you will find these are sinusoids. In liver you will find. In between hepatic cells, hepatic row, there are sinusoids. So these sinusoids are actually this type of capillary, last type of capillary. Example, here are the pores. Through these pores, the blood from these pores entering through this, and this is the wall of the capillary, this is the lumen. So from here it is entering there. Here is the blood, so from here it is entering here, from here. This is the exchange technique. Here there are, see, pores. Through these pores, blood from the substances entering into the exterior. Here there is a gap. Through this gap, material is coming out. This is important. Remember, you know the veins are having valves, but not all the veins. Great veins, no valves. The wall is thin and easily distended. Venules, no valves, walls are slightly thicker than capillaries. Vein and valves, endothelium. Muscular cord, tunica, adventitia. Now we'll see how the diameter, how the diameter changes during the course. How the diameter changes, their diameter is changing. How their cross-sectional area is changing. How their blood pressure is changing. Okay, how their flow is changing. Okay, we'll see now one by one. Diameter changes in the vascular system. Diameter is not fixed. See the diameter, how it is changing. What is the diameter? 25 in aorta. Then in large arteries, its diameter came down to, if you make sum of all large arteries, diameter of all our arteries, it will be, the summated amount will be more than 25. So gradually the area is increasing. Gradually the area will be increasing. In the small arteries, it is 0.2, 2, and in the arterioles, see how much it has decreased. Diameter is decreasing. And in the capillaries, see the change. And what are the functions of its aorta? Pulse dampening distribution. What is the meaning of this? Who can explain? Pulse dampening. What is the term dampening means? Reducing
the conduction.
pressure. Reducing the pressure. So we know if you proceed towards the periphery, gradually pressure will be decreasing. Means pressure will be dampening. There will be declining pressure. And large arteries, distribution of blood. It will decide how much blood will be going to liver, how much will be going to GI tract, how much will be going to spleen, how much will be going to kidney, how much will be going to brain. So it will be distributing. These arteries will be distributing. They will be determining it. And resistance. These arterioles will, their function is to create resistance. Means they will decide whether blood pressure is to be increased or decreased, whether perfusion pressure is to be increased or decreased, or whether, so their resistance means they are having the responsibility of creation of resistance. By how? They will be creating resistance by making the vessels constricted or relaxed, dilated. So that's why you can increase or decrease the blood pressure, increase or decrease the flow of blood. Venule exchange, not only capillaries, through capillary exchange is made, through venules also exchange can be made. Exchange means exchange of solids, exchange of gases, exchange of material between cell and blood. Veins capacitance means holding blood. They can hold large amount of blood. And vena cava collecting it and draining it to the atria. So these are the functions of various parts of the vessels. Okay, up to this? Okay. So what we have seen? In the earlier example, what we have seen? The diameter gradually reduces. Again, diameter increases. After capillary, from venule, again diameter increases, but not to the level of aorta. So gradually decrease in, and again there will be rise. So this is the pattern. Now total cross-sectional area change and velocity change in the vascular system. There is a tube, rubber tube, water is passing through it, you are going to wash your car. Car. See here, yeah, or your bike. But you can see, its diameter is too big, water is coming like this. It is not going far. So what do? You narrow the out space, narrowing the vessel. As a result, what had happened? Velocity has increased. That means by increasing or decreasing the diameter of the vessel, you can increase or decrease the velocity. You can increase or decrease the velocity. Okay? So how this cross-sectional area, cross-sectional is, this area is the cross-sectional area. How this cross-sectional area changes and how the velocity changes. See, in aorta, cross-sectional area is 4.5 centimeters square. And in the capillary, see what is there in the capillary? This is the total cross-sectional, not a cross-sectional single one. if you, I said, if you make sum of all the cross-sectional area of all the capillaries, then you will find it is 4,000, it is 1,000 times of aorta. So gradually cross-sectional area is gradually increasing, total cross-sectional area. And velocity, here velocity was 40 centimeter per second, and you see gradually what happens, 42 it is in capillaries only 0.3. What will happen? If one artery is injured, how blood will be coming? Its velocity will be more. At a speed, blood will be coming out. Vein velocity is less. Because why? Because of change in diameter, change in cross-sectional area, change in velocity. So what idea you got from the earlier one? As you proceed, diameter decreases. Here, as you proceed, total cross-sectional area increases. You are having blood. How much blood you are having? How much? Total? It is 1/10, 1/7 of your body weight. In some book it is like 1/10, 1/9, this way. However, it is near about 5 liters. Together you are having 5 liters. And in 1 minute you are circulating how much? 5 liters. In one stroke you are sending 70 ml. Your heartbeat is 70. So in 70 beats, means in 1 minute there are 70 beats. In 1 beat you are sending 70. So in 70 beats, 4.9 thousand, 4,900 ml means 4.9 liter, means 5 liter. So you are having 5 liter. So now I am also having 5 liter, for example. Now out of this 5 liter, this 5 liter is distributed throughout my body. There are different organs, isn't it? My brain is having some part, my kidney is having some part, my GI tract is having some part, my blood vessels are having some part, some amount of blood is there in the heart, some will be there in vein, some will be there in capillaries. Let's see how these 5 liters of blood is distributed. Now can you tell me at a time whether right at this moment, whether your artery is having more blood or your vein is having more blood? One person said it is artery. It is having more blood. Who is agreeing with him? All. Why? Why vein? We told veins are actually capacitance vessels. Capacitance. They can hold large amount of blood. You can tell the veins are reservoir of blood. When there is hemorrhage, no? Initially blood will drain from these veins. Okay. So then immediately through reflex action or through mechanisms, some mechanisms are, they will contract these veins, and so that a lot of blood came out. So I have to manage the circulation. That's why I need blood. But where from I will get? Nobody is giving me blood at that time. So I am having reservoir in the veins. So if the veins are contracted, then what will be? Some more additional amount of blood will be circulating through the heart, through the arterial system, through the heart. So that way I can manage my circulation. Okay. Now see how this 5 liter of blood is distributed. Blood volume 7% of body weight, 60% plus the office 60% plus body weight. Forget the last part. So now some amount of blood will be going to the systemic circulation. 84% will be going to systemic circulation, and 16% will be going to the pulmonary circulation. Okay, lesser circulation. Now out of this 84%, veins is holding 64%, whereas the artery is only 13%. Who said artery? So your concept is reverse. Huh? Your concept, I think you will be remembering this thing for all the time. Most of the blood is retained in your veins. Okay, and artery is holding only 13%. 13% this, and arterioles and capillaries are already having a very less amount. It is 7% only. Okay, can you remember this? Remember this? Okay. Same thing. Same thing. Now tell me, where will be the most pressure? You will get more pressure either in aorta or in the branches of the aorta or in the arteriole. Blood vessel is gradually narrowing. Now tell me what will happen. Whether blood pressure will be gradually increasing or gradually decreasing. I said that gradually it will be increasing. Okay, and others? So this class was very important for this purpose. You have some inherent, or not inherent, lack of, you are having wrong ideas. You are having wrong ideas. Unless you attend these classes, and these are wrong ideas will go. Now see how the blood pressure changes. The red one is the mean pressure. Okay. Mean pressure. Can anybody tell what is mean pressure? Average pressure. Mean means average. How can you can calculate average pressure? My pressure is 120/80. 120 systolic, diastolic 80. What will be my mean pressure? Hey, wait, you are wrong. Come here. When you will be coming, your answer will be going. Mean pressure. Listen. Mean pressure is, hello, diastolic pressure. My pressure is 80. Diastolic pressure is 80 plus 1/3 of pulse pressure. What is the pulse pressure? 120 minus 80. What is the difference? 40. 1/3 of 40? How much? So you add this value to my diastolic pressure. This is my average, my mean pressure. Understood? I will ask you. So another wrong conception gone. Go. Now go. It was very essential, no? Very essential for your understanding. Try to remember this forever. Today, not today. I will expect you study this thing not for your exam, But for your understanding, proper understanding of cardio, you have to. It is needed, absolutely needed for you. So you study this. I may not be. See, in left atrium, systemic circulation, what is the pressure? Systolic. During systole, it is 7 to 8, diastolic pressure 0. In left ventricle, much more. It is, that's why it has to generate more force, because it has to create more pressure. That's why wall is thick. 120 in left ventricle, it is 120 by 0. Diastolic, during diastole pressure is 0. And in aorta, it is 120 by 70. And its branches, large branches, it is also 120 by 80. Okay? Then in arterioles, no diastolic pressure, only a pressure, no systole, only a pressure. I said ki pressure becomes gradually, flow becomes gradually laminar, monophasic, no biphasic, continuous flow, no phasic flow. So that is why you are getting only 60. In maternal arteriole, it is 40. In capillaries, only 25. See, pressure how gradually came down. Who said pressure increases? You told? Somebody told? You also there? So somebody was telling pressure gradually increases. Now, again your two conception, wrong concept you had gone. Okay. See the pressure difference in systemic circulation and in pulmonary circulation. See the difference. Lot of difference. Here, through pulmonary circulation, distance is very less. So resistance is very less. So less energy less force has to generate by the right ventricle. That's why pressure is less. See, left ventricle, systolic pressure, diastolic pressure means 0. Now when the blood is entering from here to here in aorta and its branches, systolic is 120, diastolic 80. Now when it is entering in small arterioles, it is decreasing. In arterioles, again it is steady decrease, and in capillaries, no systolic, no diastolic, only laminar flow. Only, laminar flow, no phasic flow. Okay. And again, in right atrium, pressure is less, systole, diastole will be there, so again you will get. So gradually, pressure is decreasing. This difference. It is what? It is the pulse pressure. This is the difference between systolic and diastolic. Pulse pressure, pulse pressure, pulse pressure. No pulse pressure, only single pressure, hydrostatic pressure. So here pulse pressure is much more. So gradually this pressure, pulse pressure is coming down. Again, same thing, pressure changes. Already discussed, see, the components of the endothelium, components of the vessel wall. One component is endothelium, elastic tissue, smooth muscle, and fibrous tissue. And these components, see, in aorta, in artery, in veins, in vena cava, in arteriole. So in this way, you see the components, how the components are changing, depending on their functions. The segmented every segment has different function. So according to the function of the segments, the components are also varying. Okay? Not that it is homogeneous. Here, you are studying the relation between cross-sectional area and velocity. You have the idea, if cross-sectional area is less, velocity will be more. Cross-sectional area less, velocity will be more for a single vessel. Okay, but here you see in aorta, what is this? 40 centimeter per second. What is this? Velocity, and this is the cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area this much, and velocity is this much. Now cross-sectional area reducing. Cross-sectional area reducing. Velocity reducing. Cross-sectional area reducing, further reduce. Velocity further reduce. And this way, see the relationship. So this is cross-sectional area and velocity is very important. Functional types. There are, these are the, before we study the functional types, components of the blood vessels, this has already been discussed. These are the functional types. What are these? Wind Kessel vessels, already I told about this, and resistance vessel, these are small arteries, and exchange vessels, these are capillaries and venules, and capacitant vessels, veins, and shunt vessels, meta-arterioles. 3. Blood has entered, distended, now it is closed. It is closed. No blood is entering during diastole. Now, because of elasticity, it will be coming down. Now the blood will be proceeding forward. In red, these vessels are less elastic but highly muscular. Meta-arterioles and capillary sphincters. Oh, that thing I told, they will determine how many capillaries will remain open. And these sphincters are under the control of metabolites. They are under the control of nerves, sympathetic nerves. What is the unit of blood flow? Amount of blood displaced, amount of blood second or per minute. This is important. Actually, I wanted to start practical with blood pressure experiments. So before that, you should have this knowledge. Type of blood flow. 2 types. Laminar flow, turbulent flow. Laminar flow, turbulent flow. So there are 2 types of blood flow pattern. Laminar, remember this, laminar and turbulent. Laminar flow is streamlined. This is the cross-sectional area of the blood vessel, and this is a long section. Blood or any fluid, when passing through a tube, the fluid passes in different layers. In different layers. One layer, another layer. So these are the layers in different layers, circular layers. Different circular layers. Which layer will face more resistance, frictional resistance? The outermost layer. Because one layer is fixed, the wall is fixed, and this layer is moving. So they are facing this layer, as it is a more friction will be, so more resistance, as it is their flow will be reduced. So they will not be able to proceed like other layers. They will be at the back. See. Back. But here the resistance, they will see its flow rate is lower than this, as it is a less friction will be there, less friction than this, So as it will be, its speed will be, its velocity will be relatively higher. In this way, the central layer will be having the highest rate of flow. Highest rate of flow means this part. Why? One is resistance. Another thing is there. One other thing very important. Remember this. Important point for you. Blood is passing, and at the center, the blood cells are concentrated at the center, and at the periphery, plasma. Only the plasma part will be there. So if you take out the blood from the capillary, you will find less blood vessels, less cells, more plasma. If you are able to take blood from the apex of this, you will find more cells, less plasma. Okay? So laminar flow, they are not noisy. They are going slowly, they will not make any noise. So while they are flowing through the tubes, you will not hear any sound. You will not hear any sound. Now, see this case. This is the turbulent flow. Now here there is no flowing of the fluids, not is done through layers. This is disturbed because of such things. Why? Because of sudden narrowing. Because of narrowing of the vessels. So narrowing of the vessels, velocity increased. As a result, disturbance before the narrowing, it was having laminar flow, but when it faced this thing, then the layers become disturbed, became haphazard. The molecules interacted, collision between the components of the fluid. As a result, what will happen? Some sound will be produced. It may here only. These vessels also can produce this sound, turbulent sound. Any artery can have this constriction because of deposition of calcium, or atrophy or hypertrophy of this, or atherosclerosis, narrowing. Because of atherosclerosis, there will be narrowing. There will be narrowing of blood vessels. So before the atherosclerotic part, there is laminar flow. When it has entered here, now there will be turbulence. So immediately at that place, at that area, there will be sound. So if you place your stethoscope there, you will find a sound. This sound is called bruit or murmur. Bruit or murmur. So the turbulence produces sound. Turbulence produces sound. So here during measurement of blood pressure, you hear, normally you don't hear any sound. Now if you place your stethoscope here, will you get any sound? But when you are measuring the blood pressure, you are narrowing the blood vessels. Then through the narrowed blood vessel, blood started to come and it will produce turbulence. And now here you will be able to hear the sound. And if there is atherosclerosis, suppose I am having atherosclerosis here, if this area will produce sound, you will be able to. Not only atherosclerosis will affect my heart, it also happen in peripheral blood vessels. Yeah. Whether this flow, whether blood flow will make any turbulence or not, that you can predict. That you can predict by a number. This is called Reynolds number. This, if it is more than 2000, that means your blood is going to be turbulent. Flow of blood is going to be turbulent. Okay. What is this number? Reynolds number. How it is calculated? Using a formula. What is this formula? Q means flow. This flow is whether this flow will be having turbulence or not, or it will be laminar. So it is determined by the Reynolds number. What is the Reynolds number? No, this is the Poiseuille's law. Well, no. Okay. Reynolds number is determined from internal force divided by viscosity force. Internal force, what is the internal force? Fluid density into fluid velocity into vessel diameter. What is this? Internal force. What is the fluid density? Blood is flowing. What is the density of the blood? What is the velocity of the blood? And what is the vessel diameter? You divide it by viscosity of the fluid. Okay, now you tell me, if viscosity is decreased, Reynolds number will be increased or decreased? Increase. You are dividing with a lesser number, so product will be more. So Reynolds number will be increasing. So if it is 2000, more than 2000 it will be. Now say your blood can be less viscous. When? When you will be suffering from anemia. There will be less WBCs, RBCs. As a result, there will be less viscosity. So you are dividing this equation by the viscosity. Diameter. Those who are having atherosclerosis, diameter is reduced. Okay. And velocity is increasing. As a result, the product of upper part is increasing. Now you are dividing with increased viscosity or the same viscosity. Now, what will happen? There will be more Reynolds number. If it is more than 2000, then your blood is going to, flow of blood going to be turbulent. This is last. To maintain laminar flow, for laminar flow is determined by Q. Q is the flow. Q is the flow. This Q depends on so many things. Directly proportional to radius of the vessel, fourth power of radius, and pressure change. Suppose blood will be passing from here to here. So here must be high pressure, here should be low. So what is the difference? This is the delta P, pressure difference, AB difference, arteriovenous difference. So this pressure difference, when the difference will be more, flow will be more. When the pressure difference is more, flow will be more. When the radius is less, it should be. And what is the, this sign? It is not N. This is called nu. Okay. So it is the viscosity. It is the viscosity of the blood. Okay. And L is the length of the vessel. Since length of the vessel is not changed, It is fixed, so you can omit it. You can omit it. So as a result, what is the factors? Radius, pressure change, and viscosity. So flow will depend on these 4 factors. Okay? Vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction, reduction in radius, this will lead to increase in resistance, this will lead to decreased blood flow. So you have to know this. When there is vasoconstriction, what will happen? What is the sequence of events? So this is the sequence. For clinical purpose, this is important. And vasodilatation means there will be increase in diameter, so decrease in resistance. So since there is decrease, blood flow will be increased. In polycythemia, more production of RBC means viscosity will be increased. As a result, viscosity is a resistance, so blood flow will be reduced. So these are the clinical things we have to remember. Okay? And after tomorrow's exam, from day after tomorrow, please study the hemodynamics. I could not explain Poiseuille's equation, Poiseuille's law. You study this simple, and Laplace law. So if you know this, there is another Bernoulli's law. These are simple. You go through it, you will be learning. Now, so many new things you could learn today. Your concept has been changed, isn't it?